Okay, I hope it helps to see this Chapter 3 review worked out. The empty review is under review for tests as well as the printed out solutions. But let's go through the work. Problem number 1, it asks you to find 3 ordered pair solutions by completing the table. So this is using a general T-chart. First thing I'm going to do is let x be 0. If x is 0, then I have y equals 2 times 0 plus 5. Y equals 2 times 0 is 0, so I just have y is 5. Next value, I have x is 1. So I have y equals 2 times 1 plus 5. 2 times 1 is 2. Add to the 5, and I should get the value of 7. Next one, x is negative 1. So I have y equals 2 times negative 1 plus 5. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 plus 5, and that should give me a value of 3. I have completed the T-chart, and now I'm going to plot those 3 points. Down on the grid, the first point I need to graph is 0, 5. That means go 0 in the x direction, but go up to 5. Next, I have 1, 7. That means go to the right 1 and go up 7. There's the second point. The third point I have is negative 1, 3. From the origin, I go left 1 and up 3, and I have my third point. Hopefully you can see that these 3 points form a line. Let me find something to use as a ruler. And I have my line. It goes through 1, 2, 3 points that I was able to calculate in my T-chart. So that's question number 1. Question number 2 has a different instructions. You're going to want to make sure you pay attention to the instruction. And question number 2 asks you to find the intercepts. All right, to find the intercepts, I need to do the following T-chart. I have x and y. I need to let x be 0 and find y. Let y be 0 and find x. So I'll do my work right down here. If x is 0, I have 2 times 0 minus 10y is equal to 10. 2 times 0 is 0, so I just have negative 10y is 10. Divide by negative 10, and y is negative 1. So the y-intercept is at 0, negative 1. The second part of the problem says to let y be 0. So I'm going to have 2 times x minus 10 times 0 is equal to 10. That term is 0, so I have 2x is 10. Divide by 2, x is 5. The x-intercept is 5, 0. I'm going to plot that in red and hope that it shows up a little bit better. First point, 0 in the x, so don't move right or left, but go down 1. The second point is 5, 0. Go to the right 5, but don't go up or down, so the second point is 5, 0. Now, if I plot that, I've got the points plotted. I need to draw my line. I only have 2 points on this. I could find a third point that would be kind of a safety valve, but I think I'll be okay just with the 2. All right, let's look at question number 3, which is up here. In this question, and I think the next few questions, it says to use the slope-intercept form. And if I'm going to use slope-intercept, I have to know m and b. From this equation, I know y equals mx plus b. B stands for begin. I will begin at negative 2 on the y-axis. I will move according to the slope instructions, which are also negative 2, but I need a denominator. When there is no denominator, use the number 1. So that tells me the rise is down 2, the run is right 1. So once again, I'm going to switch to red. Begin at negative 2 on the y-axis. From there, move down 2 blocks, write one block, and drop a point. Doesn't seem to want to draw that point. There it is. I can repeat that process if I choose. Down 2 blocks, write one block, and I can draw another point. You can do that only once, or you can do it as many times as you wish. And I sort of missed my points a little bit, but there is my line. It is a falling line. The slope was negative. There it is. The slope is negative, so that makes me feel like I'm doing it right. The next problem, I can't use slope-intercept in the form that it's in. So the first thing I need to do is subtract 3x from both sides. That gives me 2y is negative 3x plus 6. Divide by 2. And I end up with y is equal to negative 3/2 x plus 3. And I think we did that much in class. Now I need to notice that I will begin at 3 on the y-axis. Always remember that that value is on the y-axis. And I will move, my slope is negative 3 over 2. The rise is negative, so that's down. The run is positive, so that's right. All right, if I graph, I begin at 3 on the y-axis. There's my point. From there, I need to move down 3 and write 2 and drop another point. That's all I have to do, or I can repeat that several times if I want to. There's my line. Remember, you must have it in slope-intercept form if you're going to use that technique. All right, problem number 5 is on the next page. The first thing I'm going to need to do is get it in that slope-intercept form. So I'm going to need to say y is equal to negative 3x plus 4. I will begin on the y-axis at 4, and I will move negative 3. I need a denominator, so I put a 1. That tells me the rise is negative, so it's down. The run is positive, so I go right. I will begin at 4 on the y-axis. From there, I will go down 3 and write 1 and drop another point. Each one of these lines that I've done with the slope-intercept method just happen to have negative slopes. Certainly it won't always be that way. All right, let's look at number 6. The 6 and 7 should be short questions. You don't have to show any work, but you do need to remember which one is which. X equals negative 3 is going to go through the x-axis at negative 3. So I'm going to start with that point, and then I'm going to draw my vertical line. That's the line x equals negative 3. The line y equals 2 goes through the y-axis at 2, and I'm going to draw my horizontal line. Make sure that you study those and you do know the difference. All right, let's go up here to number 8. It asks you to find the slope of the line passing through the given points. Well, I have to know or look up the slope formula. It's y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. That means that I need the difference in the y's over the difference in the x's. Difference in the y's, it's negative 6 minus negative 3 over negative 3 minus negative 7. Make sure that you have the y's on top and the x's on the bottom, and be careful with your signs. Minus minus in both cases means plus. Negative 6 plus 3 gives me negative 3. Negative 3 plus positive 7 gives me positive 4. Using the formula the way I write it, I get that the slope is negative 3/4. There is a possibility that you get 3 over negative 4, and it would be fine also. Problem number 9, there's no work to do. You recognize that this is y equals mx plus v form. The slope of the line, is simply negative 7. Number 10, you should go from your memory. Hopefully you realize that this is the equation of a vertical line and that the slope of a vertical line is undefined. Problem number 11, I do need to do a little bit of work. I need to get it in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to add 3x to both sides. That gives me 4y is equal to 3x minus 5. Divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, and I'm going to scoot right over here to write it. I have y is equal to 3/4 x minus 5/4. And the slope, which is the question, is the fraction 3/4. Number 12, hopefully you remember that that is the equation of a horizontal line, and the slope of all horizontal lines is 0. The next couple of problems, I'm not sure that I'm going to have enough room to do the work here, so I may go down to my notebook paper to do. So if you print this out, look down for 13 and 14. Okay, number 13. I have 12x plus 4y equals 16. And I have 18x plus 6y equals 27. Let me verify that I have the right equations. All right. If I'm to determine if these are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, I need to get each one in slope-intercept form. So for the first one, I'm going to subtract 12x. I'm trying to get y by itself. So I have 4y is equal to negative 12x plus 16. Next, I need to divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, and I get y is equal to negative 3x plus 4. I'm going to need to notice that that's my slope, negative 3. All right, going to the next equation, I'm going to subtract 18x, subtract 18x. I have 6y is equal to negative 18x plus 27. Divide by 6, divide by 6, divide by 6. Y is equal to negative 3x plus 6 does not go into 27 evenly, but it is divisible by 3, each the top and the bottom. So 3 is going to go into the top 9 times and into the bottom 2 times. It turns out that that's not even relevant in this question. I'm supposed to determine whether these are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So what I have to do is compare the slopes. Because they are the same, the identical same slopes, these two lines are parallel. So that's my answer to 13. Problem number 14. Once again, I'm going to have to get that system written down. First equation, 3x minus 4y is 10. And 8x plus 6y is 13. Let's see, that second equation, 8x plus 6y is negative 13. All right, once again, if I'm going to determine if these are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, I need to know the slope of each one. First equation, I'm going to subtract 3x. That gives me negative 4y is equal to negative 3x plus 10. Divide by negative 4. I end up with y is equal to negative over negative is positive. So I'm going to say positive 3/4 x. Now this fraction, whoops, I'm going to change that back to negative. A positive divided by a negative will be a negative, and I'm going to reduce that to 5/2. On the second equation, I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides. That gives me 6y is equal to negative 8x minus 13. Divide by 6 in each one of those equations, and I end up with y is equal to, I can reduce this as a fraction to negative 4/3x, and all I can do is leave that as 13/6. Now, each one of these equations, I've got a slope. So I want to compare those. They are not the same, so these are not parallel lines. They are opposite in sign, and they are reciprocals. When both of those characteristics are met, then the two lines are perpendicular. If I had not met either the same, which happened up in number 13, or the opposite reciprocals, which meant perpendicular, then I would conclude that the answer was neither. So back up here, I will say that these are parallel, but I do need the work to support it. These are perpendicular, and I did need the work. Oops. All right, last few problems. Number 15. Write an equation of a line with the given slope m and the y-intercept b. All I need to do is remember that it's in the form y equals mx plus b, so it is y equals 2x plus 6. That's the equation of my line. Just as easy for number 16, it will be y is equal to negative 5/3 x plus 9. Just make sure that you notice if one of those values is negative. Last problem, hope I have enough room. I'm supposed to use function notation and find f evaluated at -3, f of -3, when this is my function. F of -3 will be -3 squared plus 5 times -3 minus 2. -3 squared, -3 times -3 is 9. 5 times -3 is -15 minus 2. 9 minus 15 gives me -6 minus 2, which is -8. F of -3 is -8. And that's all you have to do on that question. I hope that this has been helpful and that you will practice and do the second review as well, and hopefully make an A on this test.